Take a look at what the government was hiding. A paper from Treasury. Thomas wrote it down this morning. It just shows that New Zealand is going to lose all of its public services. We're going back to 2008 under this terrible Nicola Willis austerity track. The paper given to Willis in December was released under the Official Information Act after nearly 6 months of wrangling between Treasury and the Herald. Treasury initially refused to release the paper at all, but released it in heavily redacted form after the Ombudsman began to investigate. Oh, the irony. Nicola Willis was saying that Adrian Orr and the Reserve Bank needed to do better about transparency, but now it looks as if the shoe is on the other foot. When it suits Nicola Willis, suddenly Treasury should be believed in all their forecasts.
The Treasury is continuing to forecast accelerating growth in the New Zealand economy.
But when it doesn't suit Nicola Willis, well, this is what she has to say. Finance Minister Nicola Willis said the forecasts used to calculate these figures were mechanical and made simple assumptions and were extremely uncertain. She said the Treasury's long-term forecasts did not take into account Finance Minister's decisions and future budgets and essentially modelled today's spending decisions forward into the future. Which leads to the question, if there was nothing to hide, then why did it take 6 months of wrangling between Treasury and the Herald to reveal a long-term forecast if there was nothing to hide? Why did the Ombudsman actually have to get involved before Treasury would actually yield any information transparently back to the public in a democracy? Well, much of it has to do with the fact that the direction that future finance ministers are captured by relate to neoliberalism. It relates to these laws that were put in place in order to steer us through a narrow path when it comes to fiscal responsibility. The pillars of orthodoxy were put in place by neoliberals in the 1990s, and ever since, finance ministers have been shepherded by the media, who crack a whip and make sure that nobody deviates from a path. Otherwise, they will be shamed in all of our newspapers and television. Right now, we are in a situation where our public services have been eroded. It's not exactly coastal erosion, but it's very similar. And as we walk past, we can see the damage that's being done every single day. Every day, they hit us with something else, like bang, a huge wave hitting into the rocks of the public service and what's good for all New Zealanders as it slowly erodes. We're actually facing the winds of neoliberalism, the cold bitterness of cuts as we head towards privatisation. And the wind is blowing. It's enough to make you run. It's enough to make you turn tail and run. But here we are. We're fighting against it. And all we're seeing in Parliament is a whole bunch of obstruction, denial, defiance, and just terrible antics. Parliament's turned into a farce.
When will she stop dismissing the many low-paid women workers across this country who are disappointed and angry about the changes to the pay equity regime?
On behalf of the Minister of Finance, the government is not dismissing those workers.
It's true that it's easier to see what's actually just in front of you rather than a long way into the future. But with these narrow guidelines, we are going down a track where the forecasts from Treasury pretty much spell out what it's likely to happen if we keep going down the Nicola Willis fiscal responsibility track, where we cut public services and reprioritise. This graph is from Treasury, and I'll just walk you through what it says. The black dots are historical averages, as you can see. We're actually going to, in future, be well below them by 2037, 2038. Big areas like health, education, core government, law and order, transport are all going to take cuts. The only area where expenditure projections under the allowance-based model are going to go up is the welfare under superannuation. If we keep on going down the Willis path, we're going to hit cross currents. Things are going to have to be swapped around and they're going to conflict with each other. We're going to go down a path we've seen before, which always leads to financial crises and cuts and misery and inequality. We don't want to keep sucking the life out of our country like this. What we want to do is be realistic about the waves that are going to hit us in the future, develop some strong rope and some safety nets for our welfare, look after everybody in case of bad times. And we need to stop the misappropriation of wealth so that it only goes to a few, and kind of the ripping off and putting everybody else, like Indigenous people, into life support as we try to sell off everything to foreigners. Really, we need to actually just take more care of our environment and care about the flora and fauna and the environment and kaitiaki and be guardians. Look after the supports and the structures that have actually keep us all together as a community, because those ropes that hold us all together are going to be cut if we keep on voting for National Enact, and we don't want that to happen. We need to actually be strong, and we need to actually work together, and we need to look at what's right in front of us as well as the future. In New Zealand, there's an increasing wealth inequality. The very few that have all the wealth that don't get taxed, and they're inviting us to keep riding on the blue bus. It's calling us to lower tax for the wealthy and austerity for everyone else. But we've turned right before. We turned right just recently, and look where it got us. It's the wrong way to go. We don't want to be blown around by austerity. We need to actually navigate the roads ahead. And obviously we cannot see what's around every corner, what Trump's going to do, what's going to happen in the Middle East tomorrow. But at least what we can do is look after our own. And we need to stop being arbitrary about things that are hitting us as they come around the corner at us. Stop looking at GDP ratios that are arbitrary from Treasury, from Nicola Willis. Stop being so worried about debt when it's actually very, very conservatively estimated. We have headroom. We should actually be building our infrastructure, looking in the mirror, going around those corners with some kind of confidence. Let's rebuild this country and stop listening to the neoliberals.